Hey guys, it's a dull, dreary day here in northwestern Ontario. Good day to work in the garage. Let's get this grungy old garage door opener out of here and install the Skylink Atom that we talked about in the last video. Thanks for stopping by. In part one of this video, we struggled to get to the outlet that's on the other side of the 2x4 here that is designed to run the garage door opener. This garage door opener didn't work when it was hooked up to the power, but the power wasn't hooked up to the hydro pole, so no wonder it didn't work. Had a broken wire that I've since fixed. Just for a laugh, why don't we plug this thing in and see if it actually does anything. Definitely, we're not keeping it. I don't have remotes for this. The button that is over on the wall is in pretty decrepit shape. All the wiring for the safeties is kind of ripped out. So definitely we're putting the new one in, but I figured why not plug it in and see what happens. Well, it clicked! I see we've got some lights blinking. I don't know if this is anything that we can get to work, but I don't think we're going to play with it up here at the ceiling. What we're going to do is take it down and we can give it a try. If it's something that's going to halfways work, we could always throw it up on Facebook Marketplace, see if somebody will give us a few dollars for it. If it's not something that's going to work, then it can go in the junk heap. Here's the Skylink Atom garage door opener that we worked on in the first part of this video. I'll throw a link to the video up there at the top somewhere. And we've got it out here in the garage, ready to start putting things together. One thing that I can see that I'm going to find annoying with this is that these rectangular bars don't have any fastening capabilities. There's nothing that locks them together. They just slip together. Once you get the belt on, I don't think that's going to be a big deal, but while you're assembling things without the belt in place, it is going to be a little bit difficult to keep everything together. Have to keep an eye on that, because we don't want things falling apart when you're just about ready to connect it up. That would be a pain. Let me put you in a stand and we'll see if we can get some of this stuff kind of laid out. What I've got here, we've got obviously the garage door, step ladder. I think we're going to use the same block that we had the old garage door mounted to. Looks like it's pretty well dead center on the door, and that will put the opener mechanism in about the same place, I hope. They look a little janky, but up there are some straps, and maybe we'll get away with reusing those straps. Now, one problem I do see is that we're supposed to mount this 4 inches above the highest point of the door, and I've only got about 2, and that's essentially mounting the rail up against the ceiling. If I ever do decide to insulate and finish the inside of this garage, we'll have to box around the opener to keep enough clearance. This door is a little bit on the taller side than what was expected to be installed in a 8-foot ceiling garage. Anyways, let's get you guys on a stand and we'll start putting some stuff together. I mentioned in the first part of this video that this is your trolley, and it is greased on the inside. So of course, now that this is slid over the bar, this bar is all slimy. And that the hard way. This is our end that the pulley wraps around, goes at the door. It does say door right there. I think we're going to take the idler out of there just while we're stringing things so that it's easier to feed the belt through. Time to stick this belt on, so we need to take our tie wraps off. This little shuttle, or whatever you want to call it, that attaches to our trolley goes on the far side. And unwind the belt and wind it through to the far end. I'm going to feed it through. I'll bring you guys back when I got it. This is the far end of the lift bar. It says in the instructions to bring the trolley down to this end as close as possible, and we are pretty well as close as we can get. The belt is hooked up. It also says on a tag here that we have to keep 1 to 1.5 inches on this adjuster. We haven't really started tightening anything up here yet. We still have a fair amount of slack in the system, as you can see here. We're drooping down, and the belt is around this pulley. To snug things up, we just turn this barrel, and it will slowly draw the belt in. And I can see as we go back, follow back along the bar, I can see that the belt is starting to snug up here. We're getting down to the close to the 1.5 inch mark that the tag says is the minimum. Convenient that they make the tag about the ideal distance. Okay, I'm going to need 2 hands to get this snugged up. We're definitely getting close to this belt having the correct tension on it. The book says to tension the belt so that it's about 1/4 inch or 5/16 above the bottom of the bar, which at the midpoint here we were pretty close to. And you can feel some tension on that belt. And you can see there's a bar here. That is a little clip that we've got to remove. Let me grab a screwdriver. We'll pop that out of there. I've already popped it out of there because I needed 2 hands to do it. But basically pry it out with a screwdriver, and it lets this spring assembly loose and kind of locks everything together. And now we can pull our trolley into place. To release it, we pull on the emergency release handle. The previous garage door was held up in place on this 2x4 by this nail that was barely even stuck into the 2x4. So, yeah. That was easy. I guess we'll put the mounting bracket in for the new door. Unfortunately, I think mounting it center on that block and up as close as we can to the rafters is going to be about the best we can do. That should put us pretty much flush with the bottom, just like we wanted. I'm going to grab a piece of that plywood that was a shim, slip that in behind. Okay, that should have us solidly mounted to the header. We use a clevis pin and spring clip. Now we have the opener attached to the header. Progress. The kit came with these 2 angle brackets, and I think they're solid enough that they would do to mount. And if we didn't already have mounts, then I'm hoping we can use something right like about that. If we didn't have these existing mounts, of course we would use those angle brackets. The bracket on this side I was able to get down basically another inch, and that has dropped the bar over here a good 1/2 inch. The other side, unfortunately, is not going to cooperate. However, line up just perfect to use one of these L angles, so that's what we'll do. That has us basically mounted. I think there's enough room for that bracket to clear. We'll have to watch carefully as it comes down the track to make sure that we don't end up hitting anything. Basically, pretty much ready to start plugging things in, although we get greasy mechanics tracks all over our nice white controller. That right there is the 2x4 that was what I was concerned about. We still have a couple other problems. You can see up above the rail there's a couple of brackets. I'm not sure what those were used for, whether they were mounting brackets for the old rail or whether they were cable guides or whatever. The trolley, I've tried bringing it back by hand and it is hitting the first of those. I imagine it'll hit the second. Hopefully we'll be able to get by that third or get by that 2x4. Let me rip those off of there and I'll bring you guys back and we'll see how we're doing for clearance. And the trolley moves under that 2x4 quite nicely. Lots of clearance. It missed this belt bracket and hit the one that was up here. But that is okay. Next step, we got to get this thing mounted to the door so it can actually move the door under its own power. Next on our list is to get our garage door physically attached to the opener. This is the reinforcing bracket that handles the extra stress put on the door by the opener. I'm not sure if this is going to turn this as the door comes up, or if this is going to get close. I don't think so. These are all sorts of things that we got to pay attention to. Kind of use this arm bracket almost like a plumb bob to tell us where to put this. Let me do a little double check on the instructions and make sure that we've got this in the absolute correct spot. because I don't want to be drilling multiple holes in the backside of this door if I can avoid it. I'll bring you back when I've got it straight in my head exactly what we're going to do here. According to the instructions, we should be 2 to 4 inches from the top of the door and centered underneath, and that's where we are. I've got marks here. It says to pilot drill a hole. Kit only came with 2 screws for this little job, and I'm guessing probably given the forces that we're dealing with, the top and the bottom would be the ones to put it in. I've drilled 4 holes here simply because the brackets that I had to take off the rafter were put on with the exact same style of screw that we're using to attach this bracket, so why not use more screws? That is one of the screws that came with the kit, and that is one of the ones that I salvaged. So you can see, very similar. Okay, we are attached. And of course, different size bolts hold that on. Let me get a wrench on those, get them snugged up. And yeah, I think we're on to the safeties. Now that we've got the mechanical side of it done, it's time to get into the electronics. We've got our safety sensors, where these go down near the floor and shine across the door opening so that nobody gets run over by the door. We've got visor clip or key fob remotes, 2 of them. We've got the outdoor keypad that gets mounted on the door frame so that when I'm outside I can punch in the code, open the door. On the inside of the door we've got our light and open and close and a lock or unlock. It is getting late, but I would like to get the sensors and the inside keypad mounted on the wall. I'm not going to worry about running wires tonight. That's a job for tomorrow. Can't finish this all in one day, you know. Let me get these mounted and I'll show you where we got to. Before we get too carried away, we do have to connect up the wires that run from this sensor. Doing this one-handed is not easy. This is, they call this bell wire, I think. Not sure if it's because it's bell telephone wire or because it is wire that's used for connecting an electric bell. Polarity is not important. It's basically just a dry contact. We do want to make sure that there's not a tail sticking out that's going to short onto something else. Now we can just stick this on the wall. I started setting up the sensors here. I thought we were going to have issues with screwing them onto the wall and behind, but they actually are designed just to clip to the rail. You can kind of see how they clip on there. Of course, we're going to run the wire up. My intention is to run the wire up inside of the stud, kind of like this one has been done, except we're going to have to continue on into the stud and up through the plate when we get to the top of the bay here. I don't want to end up with anything running flat on the wall. First of all, that's not the right way to do things. Second of all, I do think I'm probably going to end up finishing the inside of this garage at some point. Why not make arrangements now instead of having to fight with it when we go to do the finishing job? Over here beside the light switch, I have the garage door, inside garage door opener mounted, and we'll run that up through. And again, we're on flat surfaces up here with some wiring. I don't know exactly what we're going to do about that at this point, but definitely we want to go up through that top plate and up onto the gable end to run this, to run the cable for this door switch, so that we don't have interference when we go to finish. Not anything that we can easily record, so I'm going to turn the camera off and go at this little job. I'll bring you guys back once I've got all the wiring done and we can start looking at doing the final setup on this machine. I know it's really bright, but we've got lights. I've plugged the garage door opener in. We've got, you can see those 3 wires coming down on the rafter. One of those is the door button and the other 2 are the eyeballs that go across. I put the Wi-Fi dongle in. I'm not sure what we've got to do to get that set up just yet. I haven't got that far in the instructions. And we've got the belt cover in place up here on the top. Here's the antenna for the garage door openers, and we want to make sure that it is hanging down so that it gets good signal, but we also want to make sure that it's not over by the belt where it's going to get caught. This is the source LED. for the safety sensors, and it is got a steady red LED on it, so that means that it's working. And over here we have a blue LED, and it is on steady, so that means that we've got good connection. We put the hand across, goes away, lock the beam, goes away. Good. Let's see what happens when we press the button. Here's the deluxe panel, wall mounted for the garage door opener. We've got a light button, and the lights come on and off. We've got the lock unlock slider, and here's our main definitely the motor is turning and lights are flashing, but nothing's happening. That tells us that we've just got to get the rest of the setup procedures finished. There's a little LED panel here with a flashing light. That tells us that we've got to go through the setup process on this. So I'm going to read through the manual, see what we got to do to set this thing up, and I'll bring you guys back and explain what I had to do to make it work. Here we have a visor remote or key fob or whatever you want to call it. Battery has a protective tape in it for shipping. We've pulled that out. Now it's live. We've got 3 buttons, 1, 2, 3. And we're going to program this to the garage door opener. Simple to do. We go up here, we press the set button. It says P. We press the 1 button on the remote. And now we're getting some movement out of the door. It's that easy to program these remotes. Not difficult. I've already programmed the wireless remote keypad, and it works basically the same. The default code is 000, well, 4 zeros, 0000, and then we hit the star, and to change the code you type in your 0000 and then hit star, then you type in your new code, 1 2 3 4 up 2 to 8 digits long, and then you hit your star button again. Re-enter the code a second time, star button, and then try re-entering the code and hitting the pound sign, and the door moves. Now that we've got our remotes all programmed, it's time to get the limits and the torques, etc. all set up on this thing. Programming's fairly straightforward. We press and hold the set button for 5 seconds. We don't want to let it go when the P is on. We're in 1. So now we want to set the up position. We've got up and down buttons. We just press and hold the up button. And the garage door is up. Press the set button, we'll go to 2. Now we're going to set our down position. Ensure that we've got the door pushed against the jamb, nice and solid. Set. Then on our remote, we press the up button. The door opens. We've switched to number 4. Now we press the button, let the door come down. And we got 1 beep, and we're back to the clear LED with just the 1 dot flashing. Now we need to test the obstruction and reverse feature, and what we've got here is a chunk of 2x4. It's actually the piece that we took off the header, and we're going to run the door down onto that. Since that's above the lower limit that we set, the door should reverse and go back up. And it didn't. Maybe the flat edge isn't quite enough to trigger the reversal. Let's try it with the 2x4 sitting on its edge. There, that worked. The next test that we want to do is to make sure that the light beam does its job. And I'm standing in the light beam and I'm pressing the button and the door will not come down. I step out of the light beam and the door comes down. Very good. This is going to be hard for me to show, but this is the deluxe control. We've got the light on off. We've got the lockability of the switch this over. None of the RF remotes work to open and close the door. Now they do. But over here on the side, we have an auto close selector. We've got 3 minutes, 10 minutes, and 30 minutes. If we switch the little slide switch up there, the garage door will automatically close after that amount of time. I'm not worried about that because in certain situations I want to open the door and leave it open. We'll leave this in manual so that I have to manually open or manually close the door based on whatever position I want the door to be in. Well guys, that is a little bit frustrating. We're 0 for 2 for the more technologically advanced features of this Skylink garage door opener. The problem with getting my vehicle to sync up to this thing, I can get it to do the initial sync up and that works, but this has a rolling remote code, meaning that the remote code changes every 30 seconds or something like that. So it works to move the door the first time, but then when you go to use it another time, it just it doesn't sync up. It gets lost in the security code ether, for lack of a better way of putting it. But that's fine. I'm not terribly concerned about that anyways. I don't intend on keeping the Jeep in here in the garage. There's hardly enough room for the stuff I've got, never mind putting the Jeep in here. And likewise for the phone app, I really don't care about that. I've got the outside keypad, I got the button by the door. I've got the key fob remote hanging in a convenient spot in my house that's easy for me to get at, so I'm not worried about having fancy features like cell phones or whatever. If I get a Wi-Fi router out in the garage here, and I probably will want to do that at some point, then I'll go back and set up the Wi-Fi, but at this point I really don't care. So I think we're going to call that a success. The garage door goes up and down under its own power. I really like the Skylink. The belt drive is really quiet. The setup as far as getting the key fob set up, the keypad, the buttons, getting the safety LEDs set up, or the safety laser, or whatever you want to call it, set up, all of that goes really well. This opener slows down as it's getting close to the top limit so that it's not just jarring all of a sudden coming to a stop. Really, overall, I'm very happy with it. It's a good heavy-duty remote for this large garage door, and I think it's going to provide many years of service. So thanks a lot for watching. If you got this far, give me one of those thumb up things, and if you haven't done so, maybe consider subscribing and ringing that bell icon, and we'll catch you guys in the next mess. Bye for now.